The iPad Pro might be the only tablet with as many accessories as the Nintendo Wii. It has so many accessories with a bunch of different form factors, each doing something a little bit different, between mounts, stands, arms, docks, keyboard cases, so many endless possibilities. A particular type of accessory, Vesa mounts. I have one product which finally solves that problem. From the dark corners of the internet, I found this. I was very skeptical at first, but it turned out to be legit and pretty awesome. Hey, it's V. Let's get started. I've always been a fan of magnetic Vesa arms for the iPad Pro. This is something I wish was more of a thing. Unfortunately, it's not very common. In 2018, when the new iPad Pros were unveiled, without the home button, I had to have one. One underrated feature was the magnetic back. That opened up the possibility of so many form factors. Taking your iPad with you on the go, removing it from its keyboard case, and then attaching it to a monitor arm. Unfortunately, this never became a thing. Apple eventually improved external monitor support. I've seen a couple different YouTube videos how you can build your own. There are clamps out there that will hold the iPad into place, but there's really nothing magnetic. Simply, I just want to attach my iPad to the arm and that's it. I don't want to mess with anything else. Eventually, I did build my own. I cobbled together my own version from a magnetic stand, some old monitor parts. I built this. I eventually did the same for my Mini 6 just because I could. It was unique, but it worked amazingly. Someone had the same idea as me and made their own, a company called Zalel. That was the summer of 2022 when I got my hands on this. It was 3D printed, it worked well, but it was fragile. After a few months, the sides started to crack. Afterwards, I picked up an all-in-one from a company called Kushu for around $100. It had some limitations, but it did work better than my older setup. It was a cleaner and simpler looking solution. The iPad attaches to it with magnets. The arm was durable, sometimes a bit too stiff. It was made from metal, but it had like a cheap feeling to it. The arm could rotate in a variety of angles, but not quite everything. When I said the arm was stiff, I broke one just trying to adjust it. I wanted one with a fluid range of motion. Kushu doesn't really offer this. On top of that, the table clamp will only do about 2 inches for any desk surface. That's fine for most people. My two tables are about 2.5 inches thick, and there's nothing I can really do about that. Yes and no. Fast forward a year or so later, and my original idea did pick up a bit more steam. Two companies do make magnetic Vesa plates for the iPad Pro. Charge Pro and Mount Ellipse are the only two companies I know that make this type of product. Mount Ellipse, I've never heard about them before. Charge Pro makes a few products including other magnetic iPad docks. They do have a small digital footprint, even on YouTube, Amazon, and other social media. Mount Ellipse, on the other hand, has nothing. I found their website by accident and it looks sort of sketchy. Really, they only have renders and no real photos about their products. That really screams red flags. I have been burned more than a few times from AliExpress. I've asked them a few questions about their product and they were happily able to send me a sample unit to review. Right now, this can only be picked up off their website. It retails for $60 for either size, 11-inch or 12.9-inch. The 11-inch also works with the Air. Currently, there are no options for the regular iPad or the Mini 6. Inside the box, you get the magnetic plate. The front side is covered with rubber, so it won't scratch up the iPad. The back side has 4 holes for the Vesa arm. They are 100 millimeters in size. Depending on the arm being used, some will use a quick release plate and some won't. My Vesa arm won't, therefore I will not need this. It's nice that they give you extra. They offer a nice braided USB-C charging cable, a hex screwdriver, and 4 screws. With this type of setup, it offers more flexibility with what I want to use my iPad for. This plate can be used with anything that requires 100mm Vesa mounting. Not just with monitor arms, that's the most common usage. With what I use my setup for is just my own. Not everyone will use the same exact setup. Having an iPad attached next to a monitor, it offers better integration with macOS. I initially wanted a setup with fluid motion motion and no resistance. A microphone arm sounds good, right? Yes and no. With this, it has a fluid range of motion. Typically, right out of the box, it will not work. I picked this up off Amazon for about $30 from Newer. It is a monitor mount adapter with a Vesa mount. Take a monitor and attach it to a tripod. With camera gear, the possibilities are endless with what you can do with it. With this adapter, I can attach my iPad to the microphone arm. It has a ball joint for 360-degree range of motion. It has a 100mm Vesa adapter on the back side, so it's compatible with my iPad Vesa plate. Having a 5/8 screw adapter mounted on top, it allows it to easily attach and have a secured fit. This almost seems like a perfect setup. Unfortunately, the microphone arm has a max payload of around 3 pounds and cannot support the weight of the iPad. It does kind of work, but it really doesn't. With this, I have a free range of motion, which I am looking for, but that's about it. It just kind of sags there. It does not have the strength to really hold it up. This idea I am going for, I will mess with it in a future video. My other alternative is to use a monitor Vesa arm. It will support the iPad, but it doesn't really have the same fluid range of motion as my microphone arm. Let's find out how this one works. Going the other route, I picked up this monitor Vesa arm off Amazon for about $40. It supports a weight up to 26 pounds. With this one I picked up, it doesn't have a whole lot of springs or anything else inside of it, so there isn't much resistance. It offers near fluid motion, but it's not quite the level I'm looking for. It can get a little bit stiff, but it's not that bad. It's better than what Kushu has with theirs. Assembly took maybe about 5 minutes. The base clamp is expandable up to 3 inches, so it will work with my desk, which is about 2 inches. Just clamp it down, tighten it, and slide on the arm. With this being metal, it holds up better than the Zalel variant. I will say the magnets are pretty durable and strong, but I do find the magnets on Apple products are a little bit stronger. My inside case will work with this. This can be picked up for about $80 off Amazon from a company called Moft. Leather is life. With this setup, I can rotate it 360 degrees in any angle, up or down, left or right, forward or back. Typically, I do like to use my iPad as a companion device for my MacBook Pro. With my Vesa arm being even with my monitor, I can easily move files with handoff, moving videos and photos with a flick of a mouse between both devices without needing to do anything else. I can have research materials on my iPad while writing a script on my monitor without having to have separate windows or vice versa. Writing emails, browsing the web, messaging, I can switch between Mac and iPad with handoff. The overall integration between both devices is pretty seamless. On top of that, I can also use Sidecar. This is where I use my iPad as a secondary monitor for my MacBook. I can use a stylus for all my Adobe programs. A mouse will cover me about 90% of the time, but having a stylus just feels more natural depending on what I'm doing. Diving into Photoshop with a stylus and doing some precise color correction, even with drawing apps, using a stylus versus a mouse just feels more natural. iPads will never replace a MacBook, but it does enhance the overall user experience. Granted, Sidecar is not perfect, but it does work well enough. This setup makes my iPad more of a Swiss Army knife. It allows my iPad to be more raised up and to be more eye level with my other monitor. This magnetic Vesa plate overall is one of the better ones on the market. It's more durable than Zalel and is more functional than Kushu. The one by Charge-In Pro, I will eventually get around to reviewing that. Overall, this is one to check out. I did build my own a few years ago, and I'm glad there's a simpler solution. I really do like this concept. It's a standard magnetic Vesa plate, which can be attached to anything with a 100mm Vesa adapter. It allows me to use my iPad how I want to use it, more of a secondary monitor than anything else. Being able to adjust it any which way, any angle, any position really adds a new level of usefulness for my device. Plus, the price is not that expensive, only around $60. This is one product I do recommend and should really consider. Hey, like always, it's V, stay classy.